The beast of all gaming monitors has finally landed. 3440 by 1440 quantum dot OLED G-Sync 175Hz and a 0.1 millisecond response time. And boy is it expensive! This might just be the most mental gaming monitor I have ever seen. And to celebrate, we're going to be building literally the ultimate ultra-wide gaming setup for 2022. There's a couple of ways we could go about this, either pairing up one of Alienware's great R13 powerful gaming desktops, or going the pre-built route, which is what we're going to opt for in this video, attempting to build a system that might just be powerful enough to drive this monitor at the quality it deserves. In this video, I'll be walking you through all of the components in today's setup, diving into more detail into our Alienware monitor, and seeing if the whole thing really cuts the mustard later on, testing out some of the latest and most popular titles. A big thanks to Alienware for sponsoring this video. Let's dive into it. Right then, let's calm things down a bit and actually look through all of the components we'll be using in our setup as we go ahead and put it together. And let's start off with the monitor, Alienware's AW3423DW. As the name would suggest, this is a 34-inch ultra-wide panel with a 3440 by 1440 resolution. This is my favourite monitor resolution. It's something I use daily in the office. It's perfect for not only productivity and content creation, but also of course gaming, adding extra peripheral vision to your gaming experience and making the whole thing that bit more immersive. Ultrawides have definitely become in fashion over the last few years, and it's clear to see why when using a panel like this. You've also got a sleek curve which helps with the immersive nature, sort of helping to wrap around you just that little bit and giving this really nice thin feel around the sides. It's not just the form factor though that makes this monitor on paper so incredible. The 175Hz refresh rate is very high for this resolution range, which is great to see, but the 0.1 millisecond grey to grey response time is even better. The lower the response time in games, the greater competitive advantage you've got. We all know that, and we've talked more about that in our dedicated written review of the AW3423DW. Smashed it. As if that wasn't enough, this monitor also comes with a quantum dot OLED panel. OLED, of course, is the technology which makes your blacks look so incredibly rich. And this is demonstrated with our contrast ratio, which comes in at a staggering 1,000,000 to 1. This is far higher than lots of the other options on the market, making the colours on this ultra-wide absolutely stunning. Support, of course, for HDR is also a great addition, and it really is the combination of those gaming features, like the high refresh rate and low response time, paired with the stunning image quality characteristics, like that quantum dot OLED technology that Alienware have integrated, that makes this such a home run when it comes to actually looking fantastic, but having the gaming nous to match up. It's packaged in this really nice design. You get VESA mounting included as standard, but the included stand looks good. It's very gamery, most definitely, but it needs to be quite large to actually support the immense weight of this panel. It's quite thick when it comes to the back of the panel, but with plenty of connectivity and more features than I've ever seen on any other gaming monitor. Frankly, I'm not surprised. You of course do get height and tilt adjustment on your stand, as well as rotation/swivel. Not a huge amount, but definitely enough to get the perfect viewing angle. You obviously don't get portrait orientation for quite obvious reasons, but if you really wanted to be a madman, you could pop this on a monitor arm and fulfill your wishes in that way. As if that wasn't enough, you've also got support for NVIDIA G-Sync Ultimate, which is NVIDIA's best flavour of their G-Sync tech, which helps to basically eliminate screen tearing. You do need to pair the monitor up with an NVIDIA GPU to take advantage of this piece of technology, but given the Steam hardware survey results showing overwhelming builds still going for a Team Green card, that shouldn't be a problem problem for most of you. Plus, on the higher end, which is obviously where this monitor sits, you're less likely to be going for an AMD card, making the choice of G-Sync Ultimate definitely a good one in my books. To round things off with our monitor, let's have a quick look at the I/O. A standard kettle lead connection powers the panel, great to see, and means no included power brick that you've got to have separately. You've then got plenty of USB ports. You've got 2 USB 3s on the rear, and then a further 2 underneath the panel. One is 5 gigabits per second, they're both 3.1 Gen 2, and one also supports fast power charging for plugging in a mobile phone or something like that and getting those nice USB amp speeds. You also get a headphone jack under the monitor, handy to have but not a huge deal for me, as well as a line out on the back of the monitor and an upstream USB Type B port for you to plug in your USB cable from your PC out to your USB hub of 4 USB ports. Great to see, really nice I/O, and nicely hidden away as well. Great having all those USB ports for connectivity, plugging up your keyboard, mouse, that kind of stuff, and minimizing your cable management. Now, I talked a little bit about the fact we need a great PC to power up our monitor. But it's not just the build that's important, it's also the peripherals you choose to go for. And for this all-white ultra-wide setup, there could be no other choice than some of NZXT's brand new options in the keyboard, mic, and mouse department. Let's start off with the mouse first of all. The NZXT Lift is a basic design, but very lightweight, coming in at just 67 grams with a 16,000 DPI PixArt sensor. It's not one of these holy designs either, which I quite like, and will work really well with our setup today. Looking, frankly, very nice. The NZXT Function Mini TKL is our next choice. I've gone for a more compact keyboard form factor because it will help us in those competitive titles, where we want that low mouse sensitivity for maximum precision. This keyboard isn't all it seems either, with support for replaceable keycaps, nothing new there, and replaceable key switches. That's right, you can change the switches on this keyboard. We've done a full review over on the website, so go and check that out. I've been impressed though with the Function Mini TKL, and NZXT have done something just a little bit different. Now, finally on the peripherals front, we have a choice. We could either go for a full gaming headset with a crappy integrated microphone. I'm going to knock this thing off the table at some point. Or we could go for a separate microphone and a nice pair of headphones. So I'm going to go for this NZXT capsule. Once configured correctly with the latest mouse drivers, it's actually fantastic and includes a higher sample rate than any other of its USB competition out there. On the headphone front, I've gone for a pair of Bose noise cancelling headphones. James, what? Is this a gaming setup? Yes. But we're going to be pairing them with Dolby's surround sound tech in Windows. You can pick up the app for like $10, $15 and it transforms any pair of headphones basically into a pair of gaming headphones. But what about a PC to drive the whole setup? Introducing our brand new 3070 Ti build that you guys will have seen just a few days ago. Look at that for timing. With an RTX 3070 Ti that's actually a lighter colour scheme than most cards out there, it drives our monitor perfectly. The 70 Ti is a great card for those wanting high levels of performance without necessarily breaking the bank on a 3080 Ti or 3090 Ti. At the heart, it's got an i7-12700K, one of Intel's latest CPUs for the fastest possible single-threaded performance, and a 360mm all-in-one cooler to make sure our chip is nice and chilly. To wrap things up, it's also got 32 gigs of RAM and an 850 watt power supply, and is built in a case you've probably never heard of. James, isn't this just a Corsair 4000? Sort of. It's the 4000D Airflow RGB QL edition. Basically, Corsair took the existing 4000D, added in their QL fans, rather than the non-RGB ones it came with before, and removed all the grey accents, making this an all-white case for our all-white setup. If you're wondering where the colour schemes come from, the back of the monitor, all white, looking lovely. You also get some nice RGB, by the way, on the monitor too. The Alienware logo, this rear ring on the back, and an underlight beneath, all light up in lots of different shades of RGB. So you can actually configure your monitor to match with the rest of your setup, because of course you can. Right, I'm going to rejoin you in a second once I've plugged up our monitor, PC, got everything ready to go, and then we're going to dive into some games, because I am so excited to see what kind of results we're able to achieve from this Alienware AW3423 DW, which I'll link below so you haven't got to remember the model name. See you in a second. Also, how could I forget, we've gone for an extended mouse pad that's got this really cool mountain finish with this kind of like white, grey, black. Looks good and fits well with the setup. And also this quite imposing desk lamp, which actually includes a wireless charger on the bottom, lots of different shades of white, warm and cool light, and looks really sleek in white. So just going for a really nice theme for our setups, fully adjustable too. So that's always great to see and should be a really nice fit. But back to actually setting up the setup. It's moment of truth time we've all been waiting for. Let's see how good our setup looks when it's all powered up. PC looks pretty good. Monitor, no signal yet, but we should hopefully get some in just a moment. That's if I've selected the right input, because of course you've got 3. HDMI 2, that looks good. PC's gone quiet. Yes? Yes! Windows spinny wheel. In theory, we should be within Windows 11 in just a matter of minutes. Our Gen 4 drive, of course, in the PC, making boot up times absolutely rapid. Let's dive into a couple of games though and kick things off with, wow, bit of a classic, bit of a high frame rate hero, bit of Fortnite, and then we'll work through some more intense titles as we go. And boy, am I excited to have a play with this setup. Yes! Beautiful! First kill of the game. Lovely stuff. Great little start for me there. Very, very early on. Frame rate currently just shy of 200 frames per second using the settings 3440 by 1440 action. This is a bit more like it. Hey! There's number 2. Right, we do need to get a move on though, because we are right near the edge of the zone. Now is also a good time to talk about just how good the colours look in this game on, of course, our Alienware OLED monitor. The vibrancy and the richness and that high dynamic range are coming through in absolute leaps and bounds. And it looks so, so good. Not the best game to test out sort of visual fidelity, but if it looks good in Fortnite, it's going to look really, really good in everything else that we try out. Oh no, very critical. Oh no! I was completely one shot. The petrol station's exploded. Game looking sick. The screen's looking sick. Even if we couldn't quite make it past 15th place on this first time around. Next up, we're going to try a little bit of Call of Duty Vanguard and see whether the frame rate results we're able to achieve here, and of course the visual fidelity of this monitor, stack up just quite as nicely. I know it's only a Windows 11 wallpaper, but look at that! Let me just take the desktop icons away, just so we can see a proper view. But I mean, the colours. This is like something you go into a TV shop and go, that'd be great if I could afford it. Looks awesome. So, so good. Looking at the settings we're going to be using, we're at 3440 by 1440, 21 by 9. Of course, no frame rate limit, which is good. If we go into the quality settings, we're running at the high settings preset pretty much throughout. And if we scroll all the way down, we have, of course, got NVIDIA DLSS enabled and set to performance. Not quite ultra performance, but performance to give that good balance of course, visual fidelity and frame rate. And first impressions, wow, this is a game that could often look dark on other monitors, but the 1000 nits peak brightness coming in clutch big time as we sit currently around 130 FPS. Let's see how that changes once, of course, the game properly starts. For demonstration purposes here, we are, of course, using COD Vanguard Zombies, as that's a great way of getting some offline single-player frame rate where there's no other variables involved. Absolutely gorgeous. This game looks so, so, so good. Of all the titles we could have tried out, I think this is one of the best games to actually play on a monitor where you've got that HDR, where you've got that brightness involved as well. Plus, of course, you're able to take advantage of those higher frame rates. We're currently running at 140 frames per second or so. We could definitely go higher though by either tuning the resolution down or the visual fidelity or a combination of both. I think there's a few visual settings we could disable to give us that little bit more frame rate. It's so immersive. I just can't even explain. You know, a full disclaimer, Alienware did reach out and sponsor today's video, but I just can't believe how good this monitor actually looks. It's just an experience like no other. The screen almost feels glossy and tactile. It's so smooth. The responsiveness is just unparalleled. And you see features and details in games, especially with ray tracing on as well, I might add, that I've just never seen before. It's just unreal. I'm not sure we've ever spent quite so long filming a setup before. I'm having so much fun. This is just, oh, this has got Personal Rig 2022 written all over it. Make sure to drop a like rating if you'd like to see us do a James Personal Rig for 2022, and I think it's going to feature this aid. I'm certain, in fact, it's going to feature this absolutely ridiculous monitor. Unreal. Unreal. Before we wrap things up with a summary of other frame rates we captured using this gaming setup, you guys are probably wondering how good the microphone sounds. Well, you're currently listening to our studio mic, and from now onwards, you're listening to the NZXT capsule. With really high bitrate recording and a nice design, it sounds really good. Far better than any gaming headset, and looks to rival some of the latest releases from Elgato, who of course have been a mainstay in this space since they launched their mic a couple of years ago. The mic sounds good, and I think it completes a really nice setup. As far as other performance numbers, we did of course test 10 other games on our build and our monitor to see how they'd stack up. And while we haven't got time to run you through them one by one, you can see a summary of our results and findings on your screen now. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to learn more about the Alienware monitor, PC build or any of the other parts, check out the affiliate links in the description below. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.